The gang were startled by the noise of knocking, so they looked at the front of the bus doors. There was someone by the front of the doors. It wasn't a zombie by the looks of it. Fred slowly opened the door, and it turned out that there was a doctor there. He had also had some soldiers behind him. To their surprise, they were alive, and neither of them had been bitten. To the gang of the Hex Girls, they were confused as to who they were, and where did they come from. "Who are you?" Fred asked. "We're glad you found us, but where did you all come from?" "Haven't you heard of the rumors? We're from Sekanarkam Bunker team. We saw the school bus not far from the bunker, and we thought that there might be some survivors there," one of the scientists said. "Oh, we got lost around here, and since we came from Pernek 13, we don't know where we are. Plus, this is an unfamiliar area we're in," Daphne answered. "You're all in the northeast zone of Fairview, where Sekanarkam Bunker is located," one of the scientists replied. Now the gang and the Hex Girls were confused as to who the scientist is. "I pardon for not introducing myself. I'm Dr. Adler, or the Doc as they call me. You must be the Hex Girls, along with Mystery Inc.?" "That's right. How do you know about us?" Luna asked. "I've read a lot about you guys, even before the outbreak," Dr. Adler answered. "Our bunker isn't far from here. You could stay there for a while." "Funny enough, we were on our way there," Daphne stated, then opening her bag along with everyone else's to see vials of the serum. "We found a crate of these in one of the alleyways. Someone stole them. They are yours, I assume." "Why, yes, they are. I have no clue on who stole them, but at least you found them all. I understand that people want things to go back to the way they were, but these vials have not been tested on anyone outside of the bunker," Adler replied, taking the vials and then handing them to the other scientists in bags. "If you want to know why come to us with Sekanarkam Bunker, I'll explain more there." "Like, that sounds like a great idea, since being out here in the open with zombies is too dangerous," Shaggy agreed. "Rare! Ranger!" Scooby added. When the gang and the Hex Girls followed Adler to Sekanarkam Bunker, they all headed inside with the vials and bags. Being carried by the scientists, Adler then took the gang to a science lab, where some people were in separate rooms with only one door and no windows. "Why are there people in these rooms?" Velma asked, noticing the rooms to be a bit unnerving to most, but also nerve-wracking. "They are test subjects that have been taking the serum, and we're working very hard to find a cure for the virus, causing people to mutate into zombies. So far, we have had no luck," Adler replied. "I hope you can keep trying. Don't ever lose hope," Daphne reassured Dr. Adler. "We're not giving up, Daphne. Those words are gonna give us more hope and find a cure, although we are doing what we can. Seeing that you have not been bitten, there is a chance that you all may be immune," Dr. Adler replied. "I was puked on when it all started, but surprisingly, when some got in my eye, nothing bad happened, except for the fact that my eye was red for a while. But I didn't turn or anything," Luna said. Then something hit Dr. Adler with the possibility of something. "Something is telling me you all may be immune to the virus," Adler stated with hope in his voice. "Immune to the virus? What do you mean by that?" Fred asked. "Well, it means since none of you have been turned into zombies, and you haven't been bitten either, since Luna only had some vomit in her eye, she didn't turn from what I have known and seen. So something tells me you might all be immune," Dr. Adler answered. This confused the gang. "Is there any way to prove that?" Foreign asked. "We all need to draw some blood from you all, including the dog too," Adler stated. "Rog? Rare?" Scooby asked. "Like he means you, Scooby. Velma answered. Rorea, Scooby said, understanding what Velma meant. Once we draw some blood from you all, we will have to take them in vials to be examined by the scientists here. The process of that takes about a few hours to a few days at the most, but we'll let you all know when the results come in, Dr. Adler said. Then he had the gang sit on a row of chairs. Once they were all sat down in chairs, Dr. Adler grabbed a few sets of vials and needles for drawing blood. He also got some tourniquets for their arms. He looked at Scooby and then he could look to see if he could find a vein to draw blood from him. But due to his fur, however, Adler had to use a shaver for animals and shave a bit of his fur to find his vein. Raggy, Riddle, Scooby said, shivering due to his fear of being poked by the needle. Like, it's okay, Scoob, I'm here, buddy, Shaggy comforted Scooby. As Scooby looked at Shaggy, he felt the needle poking through his body. As he was about to flinch, however, Velma gave Scooby a Scooby snack for him to eat to distract him. Once Dr. Adler finished drawing Scooby's blood, he took the needle out and away from him. One of the scientists put Scooby's blood from a needle into a vial and then threw away the dirty needle and set the vial aside for examination. Dr. Adler used some of the cotton along with the bandage wrap and wrapped where the needle was poked on Scooby's body to prevent any bleeding. Then he used the tourniquets around the arms of the Mystery Inc., Lunar, and the Hex Girls. He also drew blood from them in separate vials and needles as well. After that process was taken care of, Dr. Adler put a cotton swab on the area where the needle was on their arms. Now that that's taken care of, you will be sore for a few days after being poked there, Dr. Adler answered. Will you let us know sometime if we're immune to the virus? Lunar asked. Yes, we will let you know within about a few hours to a few days. Feel free to look around here. One of my friends can show you to your rooms. Dr. Adler answered. Did you say that no other outposts have any luck contacting you guys? If the radio's yours broken or something? Fred asked. Yes, ever since our radio repairman Luis died, we haven't had anyone to repair our radio. That was the only way to contact the other outposts, Dr. Adler answered. Mind if I take a look? I can repair stuff like that in Dog's stockade, Lunar offered. He's the son of Dog, Luna said to Dr. Adler. He'll be more than happy to fix it. You sound like the best man I need to repair the radio. I'll show you where it is, Dr. Adler said, leading Lunar down the hall to the office where the radio is. After settling in Secronomicon bunker, Dusk, Luna, and Foreign decided to go spend some girl time together by meeting the other people in the outpost. While they were doing that, Velma was trying to see if anyone in the outpost may need her help on answering some stuff they didn't even know about. Shaggy and Scooby headed for food in the cafeteria. Knowing the two on how much they love to eat a lot, Daphne and Fred were in their bedroom alone. Daphne, mind if I asked you something? Fred asked his girlfriend. Sure, Fred. Is something wrong? Daphne asked. No, I'm just kind of worried about Rose, Fred replied, lying to Daphne that nothing was wrong. But Daphne was smart enough to know that something was bothering him. You're lying about nothing being wrong, Freddy. I could tell. What about Rose? Daphne questioned. The way she snapped at us back in Prinic 13, I feel that she's just lost it. I mean, I'm afraid she's changed since the zombies broke out. And I don't know what she will do next, Fred sighed, admitting to why he said something was wrong. He had been thinking about the way Rose Martin snapped back in Prinic 13, and it worried him. I'm sure she'll come around, that is, I hope she does, Daphne said, sitting beside Fred on their bed. Promise me that you won't change the way Rose did, Fred said, confusing Daphne. What do you mean, Fred? It's not like I'm gonna end up like Rose. I mean, you're confusing me, Freddy, Daphne replied. I'm just worried about you, Daph. All the time I worry about you when we're away on mysteries, and I'm just worried because I care about you, Daff. I'm just trying to protect you, Fred said. I understand you're protecting me, Fred. I do hope Rose hasn't lost her sanity either. But something is telling me otherwise, Daphne sighed. She was close to Fred so much so they both held each other close to them. During that time, they began to kiss and have their love session with each other. As Ford was walking down the halls to the bunker, she then came across a weird door that had a sign on it. As she got close to the sign, she looked at the sign that read Testing Room. She looked inside the testing room and she saw someone strapped onto a chair. It was Max, the other scientist that the gang had dealt with during the aliens incident in Scorpion Ridge. He didn't move when his footsteps were heard, and from what Thorne could see, he looked like he was beaten to death. Thorne walked up the way away from that room and continued down the hall. Upon seeing a space-themed room, upon entering it, it was a space simulator room with her making her feel that she was on a spaceship. It was supposed to make people feel that they're in space, so Thorne sat down on one of the spaceship's chairs, only to be startled by someone opening the door. "Who's there?" Thorne called out, only to see it was Shaggy and Scooby that walked in. "Just us. What are you doing here?" Shaggy asked. "I was just checking out this space simulator room. Isn't it neat?" Thorne replied. "Like, yes it is. It makes you feel like you're in space," Shaggy said, taking a seat beside Thorne. Scooby was looking around the room, finding a mini fridge filled with soda and some small foods. "Raggy, Rhoda, and Zrax," Scooby said, handing a soda can for Shaggy and Thorne. "Like, thanks, Scoob. See if there's any more stuff to eat," Shaggy instructed. Then Scooby headed off to find some more food. "Like, how did you find me?" Thorne asked. "I saw you walking into this room, so I just wanted to spend some time with you, if that's okay." "I hope that's alright with you," Shaggy replied, worrying that he might have made her uncomfortable. "No, it's no problem at all. My other friends are working with Lunar and fixing the Elder's radio," Thorne said. "I just needed some time away from them. Is there something you wanted to ask?" "Well, yes, there is. But I'm a nervous wreck," Shaggy answered, as Scooby brought over some food from the fridge of the space simulator room. "Why are you a nervous wreck, Shaggy? Is something on your mind?" Thorne questioned. "Well, it's been on my mind for quite some time, Sally. But I don't know how to put this. But have you ever had a boyfriend?" Shaggy replied, asking Thorne a question. "Funny enough, I've never had a boyfriend in my life. I was asked out, but since being in a band and having to do shows and tours, it was my top priority before this whole world went to hell. Every time someone asks me out, I reject them," Thorne sighed. "All because I didn't know them. And not the fact that I didn't like them or anything. But how would I know if I could trust them? I mean, I don't want to be friends with someone who would backstab me." "I know how you feel, and I understand where you're coming from," Shaggy replied, sighing as well. "I've been wanting to ask you this for a while, and just so you know, I'm not like those guys that would cheat on anyone." "I know you're not like the other guys," I said, Shaggy. "Fred isn't like that either from what I can see," Thorne said. "If you want to ask me something, go ahead and ask. I'm not holding back." "Okay, here it goes. I've been single for quite a while now, and since I found you more attractive than Dusk and Luna, you're the most attractive one. So I was thinking, we could perhaps get together as in dating," Shaggy replied. "But that's if you want to. I understand if you want to wait a while." "No way. Really? You think that I'm most attractive to one of my friends?" Thorne questioned, surprised that Shaggy would ask her out. even saying that she was the most attractive. Out of all the Hex girls Shaggy likes, he always found Thorn the most attractive one out of all of them. What was so special about her? The black hair with red highlights? Her green eyes? Anything was possible. But to Thorn, she wanted to find out why Shaggy found her the most attractive. I'm stunned, Shaggy. Like, what makes you think you find me the most attractive out of all my friends? Thorn asked. Well, Shaggy trailed off, feeling a bit nervous since he was asking a gothic woman out. He had nothing against goths in any way, shape, or form, but given the fact that Thorn was into gothic themes, you've always liked her the way she is. I like you just the way you are, gothic or not. I've always liked you a lot. Aw, Shaggy, that's sweet of you. But why me, though? What is so special about me you like? Thorn replied, unsure of why Shaggy would fall in love with anyone like her. Like, because you have Wiccan blood in you for one thing. Especially during the events of Sarah Ravencroft ghost that you dealt with. You were really badass there. And like the time you cast a spell and the trapper in her book was so freaking cool, Shaggy answered. What makes me like you so much is the fact that you're calm and kind most of the time, especially during serious situations. I see you as a beautiful woman. Shaggy, I don't know how I feel about this. It's not you, that's for sure. I could be, well, a bitch at times for being stubborn, immature at times. Sometimes I make myself like a complete ass to people. But that isn't my intention at all. I just didn't know you were into me attractively, Thorn said. I just wish that I didn't act immature when meeting you. That part was my fault. I still feel guilty when I think about it. No one wanted me as their girlfriend due to me being a gothic chick. But that's when we met. Sure, the immature part of you being stubborn and a bitch and an ass at times is the truth. But whatever happened in the past, we should just move on and try not to think of it as a bad thing. I kinda like the way you scared me with your fake fangs. I was so nervous to tell you that. Mainly because I didn't want to make you uncomfortable, especially in front of your friends, Shaggy stated, as Scooby was drawing a heart, indicating that Shaggy was going to hook up with Thorn. Wow, I guess I am attractive to you then. My secret's this. I was attracted to you being a goofball, and I don't mind that personality of you at all. You're cute the way you are, even if we're both different in our own way. If you want, we could make this work somehow. The band and us being a couple, I'll find a way to do both. After all, I'm the leader of the band, Thorn smiled, pulling Shaggy close to her. So, is that a yes? Shaggy asked. Yes, it is a yes, Shaggy. I love you, Thorn replied, kissing Shaggy without saying a word more. As the two broke a kiss, Scooby sighed and smiled at the new couple. Shaggy has finally got together with the leader of the Hex Girls. Scooby knew that he liked her, so he liked and knew that this was going to work for sure. In the office room, Lunar finally got the radio working to call to the other outposts all over Fairview. The gang along with the Hex Girls and Luna and Dusk were there. Soon, of course, Shaggy and Scooby with Thorn walked in. They could see that Lunar had fixed the radio. The first thing Lunar did was radioed Paranek 13 to alert Chief Jackson about where they were. After he said that, he also radioed the other outposts about Secretnaucum's bunker radio being fixed. So now that they can get updates from the bunker on medical stuff and etc. Dr. Adler walked in the room, pleased to see that the radio was working again. I hear the radio is fixed. This is excellent. I know one of you guys can fix it, Adler replied. I fixed stuff like this before the outbreak, just like my dad, Lunar said. Are the results in yet, Doc? Fred asked. No, not yet. We still gotta wait a bit, Dr. Adler answered, when suddenly they heard a loud scream from down the hall. What the frick was that? Velma asked, now startled by the scream. It sounded like it came from down the hall, Fred replied. The gang and the Hex Girls then ran down the hall, following the screaming as they did so. While running down the hall, they all stopped to find a bloody handprint on the window of the door from their left side. They all peeked in for the window. There was a woman who was bleeding from her leg. The gang weren't sure why or how, but they could not see any bite mark that could explain why she was screaming about. The door gave away as the woman charged for the door. She ran out of the room and was heading towards the front entrance of the bunker. The gang and the Hex Girls followed her along with Lunar and Dr. Adler, fearing for the worst as to what will happen. The woman continued to scream loudly, so much so that she was starting to act very strange. When she was on all fours, gagging as if she were about to throw up, and she did. She began to throw up blood. It was a lot of blood. It was enough to say that she was turning. The gang expected that to be the case, as the woman started to mutate into a powerful zombie. "Like, what's happening?" Shaggy asked. "I fear that she's turning into one of those things. I've seen it before, and it isn't pretty," Dr. Adler replied, answering Shaggy's question. The woman then began to have spikes on her legs and arms, followed by some tentacle-like things on her back. She was getting up from mutating. Her eyes were pale as white as a ghost, and her skin was as pale as the other zombie. Dusk screamed along with Luna at the sight of the mutated zombie.